Jack Harlow is real hip hop.
Jack has been real hip hop, man.
I'm not detracting that from him. I was just surprised to hear you say it out loud.
Yeah.
I think that
Jack top 50. Sorry, continue. Too soon. Good afternoon, beautiful people. This is another episode of Album Mode. My name is Adriel Smiley, a.k.a. AdrielSmiley.com, a.k.a. Adriel Smiley Official, a.k.a. The Godfather, and we are here with His Royal Highness, King Grant.
I'm going to start bringing a prop in here, bring an actual crown or something like that. Thank you, everybody. We're back. We're doing an album review. We're also here with our producer, Chris, Patient Zero. We're doing a review on Jack Harlow, Jackman.
Yep.
Do you think he's trying to make that a nickname, or is that just a thing for just for the album? Jackman, I think.
I have no idea, honestly.
Some people rappers usually actually nickname themselves, right?
Yeah.
Nobody was calling Kanye West Yeezy before he said Yeezy.
Yeah.
Right. So Jackman is back, shirtless.
I don't think that name's in his dick, respectfully.
The Jackman.
No one's gonna be calling him that.
But yeah, we're back doing Jack Harlow, Jackman, shirtless. I think that that's actually kind of important to this entire project because I think there's a lot of soul bearing happening on Jackman. So it's interesting to see him shirtless. But how did you feel about the lead up? Because I think the lead up was actually super quick when it came to Jackman.
Yeah, there's no single.
Yeah.
It basically was announced 2 days before. I like that. I saw some people saying that Jack he's not there yet to do a surprise drop, that he needs singles. I liked it. I think Jack has become one of those artists where the perception of him is mainly based on, since What's Poppin'.
Yeah.
And he was a whole artist before that.
Yep.
And so I think that, this is something he probably would have done before What's Poppin'. Just, okay, album coming, you guys pay attention. Yeah,
it's funny that you mentioned the fact that he was like a whole ass artist before What's Poppin', because if you actually look at Jack Harlow before What's Poppin', that looks like a different dude. He looks like a teenager that just plays COD 24/7 in his room, and now he's kind of evolved into a little bit of a playboy, where it feels like people are fawning over him left, right, and center, right?
Yeah.
So it's I think that's kind of played into it, where people only frame him as What's Poppin' forwards, even though he's actually also had his collab with Lil Nas X, which was huge, massive. So he's been doing things. He's been outside. I was a little bit struck by the album. I don't even know it's a cycle, because it was 3 days before the album came out. He announced it. I was a little bit struck just because I was one of those people who was it's a little bit early for him to do some surprise drops.
Yeah.
But I understand it now, because if you listen to Jackman, it's not like, oh, we're gonna do the big single and we're gonna have the huge pop hit or something like that. It's straight bars.
Yeah.
More bars than I ever thought Jack Harlow had. Respectfully.
That's so funny.
Respectfully, I think that in one of our previous reviews, I've compared him to Drake, but the swagger of Drake, the way that he raps is like Drake, which is people, a lot of the time we say people sound like Drake all the time, but nobody really raps like Drake. We never really say that ever, but he's one of those people that raps like Drake, and it's it's interesting to see that being a full project of just rap. So,
yeah, I wasn't as surprised by it, because this kind of music is when I first heard Jack Harlow, and I kind of didn't pay attention to him as much because I didn't think he would blow. I was this is good music, but I don't know how much this is gonna really catch on.
Oh wait, at which time?
Probably 2018, 2019.
So What's Poppin' time?
Before What's Poppin',
before What's Poppin'.
when he was releasing Gazebo, and he had that song with Bryson Tiller. So I knew who he was, and I was aware of this, but What's Poppin', and that song with Lil Nas X and First Class, I didn't foresee any of that. So it's been very interesting for me to see how he's been received and how people are perceiving him, because they know him as industry baby. They know him as, Tyler Hero. And for most of, Jack Harlow's career, from me knowing him, I didn't really see any of that. Yeah. So I'm just kind of like, I'm happy that he's executing this, more pop version of his career well. But it is very interesting because I think what I saw online as soon as this album dropped was I went to Twitter, of course, did my little search, see people are saying, and the fans were loving it. The fans were loving it. They were like, this is the Jack we've been wanting. Jack is back. This is, if you see an album with the green tint, you know what it is.
Yeah.
And so I saw a lot of love for him kind of going back to his roots in a sense and not being as much of a singles artist. But then you go on a different part of the internet and it's a lot of slander. It's a lot of slander. And I thought that was just so interesting.
Yeah, me too, because I think that because of his Playboy persona or Playboy appeal is hurting his credibility when it comes to rap. Like, not as like an actually hurting it. It doesn't hurt his art, but the perception of people when they think about Jack Harlow, they're like, Playboy, white boy in rap, kind of had a couple of tracks, whatever, And I think for him, Jackman is like something that I think he thinks he had to do. Where it's like, oh, everybody thinks I'm just here for a good time, not a long time, right? I'm just here, just popping off for a little bit, and then I'm gonna be out of here. And I think he was like, hold on, let me get back to the barring people up. And I don't think anybody was fully prepared for that, because listening to the music, it was like, wow. I'm like, I was taken aback by how good it was, to be honest. To keep it 1,000,
Respectfully,
I was not expecting it to be as good, because I think this is like, I could say this off rip. I think this shit is good. I was taken aback by it because I was like, oh, I didn't realize he knew that not that he knew. I don't think that he had the capability and like the depth to his music where he could rap about generational trauma.
But before you go on, how much did you know about Jack Harlow before What's Poppin'?
None.
Okay.
But, as the person that I am, I went back, after What's Poppin' came out, and then I heard, okay, like, he's got some, he could do some things, And even on Ambitions, he raps about that, where it's like, it was very much, there was even like, he raps about like, there was a point where he had like a street style that he was rapping about. And it was like, okay, maybe it's just like this is my era, right? And then, he goes on to, I think that was at age 19, he raps about that. And then 24, it's talking about the French girl and stuff like that. So I think that, I was not fully versed. And I think most people
for sure
were not fully versed. And I think most people did not go back.
Definitely not.
Right?
Definitely
and I did go back. And I remember before What's Poppin', he's a feature on this woman's song. It was like this electronic R&B track. And to hear him rapping then, and then like literally, I think it was like 3 months later, he did What's Poppin'.
Crazy.
Was a crazy jump to see, but it did at least frame it. So I was like, yes, he can do this. But I was like, will he continue to do that? Because when you start popping as like as a pop rapper, it's kind of hard to go back and be like, okay, we're gonna go, bar for bar and stuff like this.
Yeah, I want to mention a couple of things before we get into the lyrics. I think that it's very interesting with Jack, especially, and I think he's going to be one of my new measures to see how they understand rap and hip hop and understand someone as an artist, because What's Poppin' was a Jack Harlow original.
Yeah.
That wasn't like the industry came and saved him and gave him a song. He was already rapping in that style. That was his kind of swag, his cadence that created that hit. Which for artists who are bubbling up, it's not usually the case for their first hit. Usually it's like they hit a lick by working with the right writer, the right producer.
Got a hot feature.
And so I think that is something that I've always thought about leading up until now, is like a lot of his hits is his own swag.
Yeah.
Because he's a white rapper and because he now is very big, we think of it as like the labels pushing him, and it's like, this is Jack's swag.
Right.
He's making these hits. This is what he does. And then you said it's a quick turnaround. Less than a year since the last project. It was May 19. Sorry, it was in early May of last year, so a little bit before. You gave it a 6. I gave it a 6.5.
But it was an optimistic 6.
No, optimistic 6 for sure. Yeah. And then White Man Can't Jump, the remake like he's starring in, is out May 19th. So that's something people have been talking about in terms of leading up to this release. I think those things obviously go hand in hand.
Right.
But when it comes to the lyrics, you mentioned the stuff he's talking about on this project. There are 4 songs content-wise I just want to mention before we go into their lyrics.
Yep.
Where this is what puts Jack in this new air for me because, first of all the people who are considered pop rappers or popular rappers, the street rappers are not talking about any of this stuff. The other rappers who are as popular or close to as popular aren't even rapping about stuff he's rapping about. We talk about Tyler rapping about things that no one else mentions. Yeah. Jack kind of dips into that kind of did a little bit on this one. Blame on Me with him and his brother. Yeah. A lot of people's favorite song.
It's so good.
It's very, very good.
It's really interesting. Sorry to stop you, but it's really interesting to hear a dude rapping about generational trauma.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
But that's something I don't think anybody respectfully did not think he had that in his bag.
I don't think so either. And this is kind of like a part of Jack growing up. Jack is still so young. I think we forget how young he is, that he's just turning 25. Right. Like this is part of growing up where you're like, oh yeah, I'm part of the problem here, or this is what's happening to me. So he's clearly growing up on this project and growing up in front of our eyes. Gang, gang, gang.
That's another great track.
It's an amazing song, and his take on it is very, very clever. I love the way he delivers that one. Denver.
Okay, so gang, gang, gang.
Yeah,
that is. I think that track is probably one of the better tracks that I've heard where it kind of tackles not Me Too, but also. Like the idea that you have to hold your dudes accountable.
Yeah, it's not even the Me Too. It's all from the men's side, and it's all in the terms of holding someone accountable, not believing with it, and it's kind of a little satirical, making fun of men who kind of use the bro code to stand by their friends when they do something horrible.
Yeah, because even in the hook, he's like, he mentions everything, but then he's like, but it's still, and then gang, 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 gang. You know what I mean? So I was like, that's really, I thought it was dope.
Yeah.
I think that the idea that he's also he raps from the perspective of somebody speaking to him.
Yes.
And telling him about Kevin.
Yeah.
What was the other dude's name?
I forgot the other dude's name, but he's horrible too.
Right. Yeah. All these horrible. First of all, this guy needs to find some better friends, my guy. You need to start moving in better circles.
Respectfully, you know what I thought of when I heard gang, gang, gang? I said, this must be what growing up white in Kentucky is like. There's an off chance you might have 2 or 3 friends that are child molesters.
Yeah, child molesters.
When I think of Kentucky being extremely racist and stereotypical, this is what I think of. So Jack really confirmed it.
Yeah, it was just first you need to surround yourself with some better dudes because
Marcus.
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 I got a lot of guy friends. This has not happened to me. I'm gonna tell you. I can tell you that, or it hasn't happened to me yet. It hasn't happened to me yet. This situation has not occurred to me so far. So I think that that song is maybe one of his best songs. It's definitely it's in the top 5 of his best songs.
It's crazy to say it's talking about Jack Harlow, but this is why I say things like hip hop is the best genre because there's no other genre that could give you a song like this done like this.
Right.
Like how much he says in the lyrics and either the tone he's saying it in, the cadence he's using. It's first of all, the lyrics themselves are already jarring.
Yeah.
But the way that the song's put together, it's like how many of Jack's fans that are, younger than Jack is, let alone younger than us, younger than Jack is, you can't hear this song and not rethink the way you look at your friends who may have done things or, just your circle that you're around. You can't hear this song and just be like, okay. Next song.
Yeah.
No matter what level of intellect you're at, there's no way for you to ignore those things. So for Jack to be the person doing that song that you just can't ignore those things is but pretty outlandish.
I would say that this is I think for him as a rapper, this album is huge.
For sure. I agree with that.
I think this is huge. And I think that him even his way to mesh on that song where he's he's talking about Kevin. Kevin is another one of the dudes who is
Kevin and Marcus.
Yeah, Kevin, who's Look, I'm telling you, Kevin, we've known since we were 7. The one whose dad's a reverend, the same Kevin we'd spend every weekend and call brethren, right? And then he steps away and he lets, he's like, ride for my dogs, die for my dogs, right? And then he steps away and he lets the hook continue via the production. So his ability to even mesh with the production and allow it to be the hook itself is like, it's a cool thing that I'm stunned, bro. I just did not think he had this entire project. I did not think it was in his bag whatsoever. I thought this guy was gonna become a pop rapper.
Oh wow!
And I thought he was gonna be a pop rapper. He was so popular off of what off of what he's done. Like his pop rap, What's Poppin', right? Yep. Then he had the Lil Nas X collab.
Yeah.
And then he had First Class. And then his music videos, Drake's in them.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm like, okay, so he's just gonna become a pop rapper, which is totally fine. We respect pop rappers. We love Ludacris.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We love Drake as well.
Yeah.
But I did not think he could, I didn't think he could or would bring, I don't think he would have brought it back here just to confirm that this is capable, like he's capable of doing this.
Very interesting.
Right? So like a song like Gang Gang, that was not, I'm gonna be honest with you. I just didn't think it was in his repertoire.
In particular, I definitely did not see.
Yeah.
I kind of saw him coming back to this, like I told you before. His hit songs is him. Like he's not changing up his style just to become a pop rapper. This is his style that he's been doing for 6-7 years now. But I did not see a song like Gang Gang.
Yeah.
Denver, he just really goes into his bag. And I like that he did it in 2 parts, where one he wrote earlier, second verse he wrote a few months later.
Yeah.
And then Common Ground is another one.
Really?
A great intro, because Common Ground, it starts off this album with a sense of self-awareness of like his fan base, what he represents, what's going on in hip hop with these white suburban kids.
Yeah.
And so I think that is probably not the most important song on here, but one of, because him being a white rapper is always going to be part of this whole thing. I think even a lot of the hate that he's getting is because he is a white rapper. Yeah. And people have more respect for white rappers when you rap like Alchemist.
Or Eminem.
Or when you rap like Drake.
Yeah.
So I think that's a huge part of it. I got to say this kind of blends lyrics and production style together, but he does a lot of things. I said this on the last review. He's very mid-2000s. Like a lot of these either like writing styles or like tropes of production, no one's really doing anymore, at least in a popular sense. None of these beats sound really electronic and digital. These beats really sound like that time. Exactly. And then
you know what I think when I listen to this project, or Jackman, when I listen to Jackman, I think, to me, I'm like, this is if Drake just rapped on Jay-Z beats, right? This is what this entire, I think he embodies like the Drake style of rapping, and what Drake raps about. Yeah, that's exactly the same as what Jack Harlow raps about. And I mentioned that on the previous pod, right? Yeah. Where I'm like, he's like the only dude who's embodied the Drake rap style, right?
Well, I would say he's taking it a step further.
Me too. Now, definitely, right? But when you listen to the production, I'm like, especially on Common Ground and even They Don't Love It, I'm like, that's a Jay-Z beat, bro. That's straight up Kanye produced. Or Kanye didn't produce it. Yeah. But 2003, this would have been on a Jay-Z album. That would have been a Jay-Z track, but Drake is rapping. I think that if you're a person who was like, man, Drake needs to drop the rap album, where it's just straight bar. This is that album. This is that album. You need to start listening to.
Listen, I wasn't even all the way through and I thought that. I said, this is the album everyone's asking Drake to drop. Yeah. And Jack's the one that did it. I also think this album is going to age extremely well. You mentioned the Jay-Z thing. That is why I've always thought that Jack is headed to a different place than a lot of his contemporaries, because he's so not trapped in the sound. Like, there's no part of him that's trapped in this trap sound, the electronic sound. Like, he's making kind of like timeless hip hop music in a sense, where these beats could have been whatever year. These beats could have been in the late 90s for all we know.
That's the Drake in him. That's what I'm telling you.
And so I think that he did an amazing job there. Yeah. Now, on They Don't Love It. They don't love it is a song I'm going to talk a bit about later as well, but he has this line that everyone has seen online, and I wanted to address it because everyone's been talking about it.
Yeah.
They say I got my pop's demeanor and my mother's features. The garden still private as ever. The gang thriving together. Your boy striving to be the most dominant ever. The hardest white boy since the one who rapped about vomit and sweaters. And hold the comments because I promise you I'm honestly better than whoever came to your head right then. They ain't cut from the thread like him. They don't study, they don't work, get ahead like him. They don't toss and turn the fucking bed like him. People had a lot of pushback on him saying he's trying to be the most dominant ever, the hardest white boy since the one who rapped about the vomit and sweaters.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a crazy claim for Jack to make. I think Mac Miller is the one who really should hold that spot next to Eminem as like great white rappers.
Yeah, him and like Paul Wall, I guess.
Paul Wall's not in that conversation. Like, what are we really doing? This is top 50 all over again. Literally.
I don't know, but sitting sideways, that was a bop.
Okay, let's include Bubba Sparks and Yellow Wolf.
But Action Bronson, legit though.
No, it's M and Mac Miller and everybody else. Everyone you're naming is not even close to Mac. Let's be real about it. So Jack, I think, has a case to join that rarefied air with Mac and Eminem. And people were saying that he's crazy for even mentioning that. And, I sent you some people making lists about all the white rappers better than Jack. I think that this is where I think Jack is almost in the right place because they're giving him the Drake treatment. Yeah. They're just saying, no, we don't want to hear it. We're not going to give Jack any credibility. You mentioned Jack, nah, he's too pop. He's too mainstream. There's no way. And it's like, Jack is headed there, man.
Yeah, like, especially with this. I feel like he leapfrogged a lot of people with this album.
Oh, for sure.
Especially in the people, like, even if we're talking about the white rapper candidacy, he definitely jumped a ton of people with this album.
He jumped everyone.
Again, I just like, is anybody really like, when I've been listening to this album, I've been trying to think, I'm like, where are the flaws? Because I'm starting to think, I'm like, I just can't, I don't have anything to say that
it's bad about it.
Yeah. So I'm just like, I just don't really understand. If J. Cole dropped this, people would be in a conniption right now.
100%.
Yeah.
And this is what I think that we're at with Jack is, a lot of people said that he felt like he had to drop this. Off of what happened with What's Poppin' and the last album, Come Home, The Kids Miss You, he felt like he had to drop this.
Yeah.
I think this, to me, shows how Jack is viewing his own career. Because, again, to his fans, they were more like, thank you, we've been waiting for this. Yeah. He's back. And to the people who only knew about him since What's Poppin', this is like the first time they are knowing of this really happening. And so I think this is going to really reframe his career to those people, because I think there is that notion that he was going for these pop hits. That's what he was trying to be. Now, he is trying to be the most dominant ever. And those are his words exactly.
Yeah,
but
he even said that in the New York Times article that John Caramonica did, where he was like, I'm trying to become like the best of my generation. Legit.
Yeah. And I think that part of that is that like he has this in his bag to make like a rap album, rap about real shit. It just be straight raps. Two things he does in terms of his writing style that I really, really like. And this is such an old school thing because people don't do this now. I know on her Lost review, I talked about Drake doing that whole rhyming section where it was just initials
and the numbers and the
numbers.
Yeah.
And it's like a lot of people didn't even notice that happen. And that's like a hip hop nerd thing that Drake is doing when he doesn't need to. It just sounds cool. He doesn't need to. Jack does a lot of that as well. On Is That Ight, that style, where the name of the song is all over the song, and every other line is That Ight. That reminded me of an old Ludacris style where he would use one rhyme scheme for 16 straight bars, and it was everyone's favorite thing. Now we're again almost over a decade removed from people doing that, but this is
2 decades. We're talking about Ludacris 20 years,
2 decades removed. But this is something that Jack was probably not even really around for when Ludacris did it. That he's bringing back, which I don't know if the same appetite is there for that kind of production style, but very cool. And then on It Can't Be, same thing again. And the whole song is It Can't Be, and it goes. He makes it work, and it's like. Things like that are very simple, very small. That it's like, I would love to hear Lil Baby do a version of It Can't Be, and just
that would be cool.
But it's like that is, I think, the difference between Jack and his contemporaries is that is like a real hip hop thing to do of like proving yourself as a writer of like I can use this one scheme and we get a whole song out of it and it still bangs. You know, this is very much a freestyle hip hop culture, which I think is very premature because none of y'all are Hove, none of y'all are Wayne, but that freestyle culture doesn't lend to doing stuff like this. And so this is where Jack is more pop, I would say, in a sense still.
Yeah.
But in a whole different place in terms of how he's even putting these songs together.
Yeah, I can't believe, you know what you said? You said this is real hip hop. And I'm like, wow, this is mind melding. Jack Harlow is real hip hop.
Jack has been real hip hop, man.
I'm not detracting that from him. I was just surprised to hear you say it out loud.
Yeah.
I think that
Is Jack top 50? Sorry, continue. Too soon.
Jack is too soon for Jack to be top 50. But I think that, I don't know, man. When I like the more and more I delve into how he raps, what he raps about, the style of rapping, I mean, it just comes out like, you know, it's just check marks and A pluses. A lot of check marks and a lot of A pluses. I think It Can't Be is maybe a track only a white artist can do, or maybe a non-black artist. Actually, no. I think a white artist, because he's definitely like referencing, you know, the color of his skin, right?
Yeah.
You know, it can't be like. Let's go over the list of the things that it cannot be. Let's see. It can't be the smile. It can't be the eye contact with these crowds. It can't be my pen. I love bragging about the pen. It can't be the verses that make people feel like I'm talking to them. You know, it can't be the homage I paid. Nights I could have left the studio, but I stayed. It can't be the tone of my voice. It can't be the thought I put in every choice. It can't be the Jeep instead of the Rolls Royce. It can't be the downtime with my boys. It can't be the Tribe, the Biggie and the Nas, the Outkast and the Missy in my iPod. It can't be the absence or any facade. It can't be the worldwide hometown pride. So I guess it must be my skin. It can't be any other reason I think I'd win. So I think this is a good response to being like, you know, he's only popping because he's white. It's weird in hip hop. I think that it helps you and hurts you at the same time.
100%.
I think that being a white rapper helps you become mass appeal extraordinarily fast.
Yes.
Extraordinarily fast, right? But I think it hurts you when it comes to like when we're talking about top 50 or real hip hop crowd or the quote unquote real hip hop crowd. Then we're like, you know, he's just a white dude, you know, white dude rapping. So I think that his, you know, in this track where he like names like, you know, he's talking about Missy. I like that he referenced a black woman because black women do like Jack Harlow. So I do think that was a little like,
he knows his base.
Yeah, he knows a little like nod and wink to at least get that off. Which in Missy Elliott is top 50.
Yeah, 100%.
But I think that the references, the styles, things that he's pulling from, I think is a good response to say that I'm like, you know, I've been studying this shit, and you kind of have to, if you're a white rapper, to become a successful white rapper, because there are things that you can't tap into that your black contemporaries can.
Yes.
You kind of have to be a student.
100%.
Yeah, you have to be a student. You can't just like show up and like expect it to be, you know, to be awesome. I mean, What's Poppin', I think, is like one of those where I think anybody could have dropped What's Poppin'. I think a lot of people thought Jack Harlow was black
100%.
when they first started What's Poppin'. So, but to have sustained success as a white artist in hip hop, you got to be a student.
Yeah.
You have to be a student because always people are going to be questioning your motives, your credibility, where you're from.
Yeah.
Right. So you gotta prove it. Like you gotta be the rhymer. You gotta be able to, you know, out rap anybody that crosses your path, or at least be able to go toe to toe.
At least.
Right. You at least have to be able to go toe to toe. So I think that It Can't Be is like excellent response to all of you know, the things that could be levied at him. And then, like you said, his ability to carry the scheme, you know, that idea of carrying like that one phrase through the entire fucking song.
And it goes.
Yeah, and it slaps.
Yeah. And it's like, these are the things I think about when I kind of rate rappers in my own head. I think, again, if you had to give this rapper a task and say, all right, you have this one scheme, you write a whole song like that. How many rappers could do that? It seems simple. And then you think about how many rap albums have we done on this podcast, where no one's done anything like that.
Yeah.
And it's just either the same content every song, the same flows every song. So I do think that we got to give him his credit for pulling that off in that way. As a white rapper, he's a visitor in the genre. I think he's said that he knows that. Everyone knows that. And one thing I mentioned before on this show is that the outsiders, quote unquote, of rap, which they may be the most popular in terms of making the most hits and on Billboard, but it's white rappers, women rappers, and Lil Nas X. That is a group where the center of hip hop is just not listening to. It's just what it is. And I think that that's where we get the two sides where, but so-and-so went number one or so-and-so was this. And it's like over here, which is maybe 70% of the genre, they don't give a shit about WAP going number one. They don't give a shit about Logic being big. They just don't care at all. Jack is different from all of that. I sound like What's Poppin' showed you that he not only crossed over in terms of being a mainstream artist, he crossed over in terms of he's a white rapper that many black people will listen to. Yeah. And that is something that over the past decade plus of hip hop, I've seen so clearly. That there are some hip hop fans who just don't listen to any white rappers. It doesn't matter what kind of music. It could be someone like Logic who passes as white. We know that he's mixed. The whole world knows that. But passes as white. Or someone like G-Eazy. It doesn't matter the kind of music they make. Them just being white is like,
they're out of here. They're not listening to it.
So Jack, I think, is one of the few artists who's really like changing that mindset, because I even think Eminem fell into that. I think Eminem at first, it was a lot of love, but
over time, I think definitely over time, like the older he's gotten, the fan base has lost melanin. When it comes to Eminem.
No, 100%. And that I think is Jack's biggest advantage here. Is that one, black women love him. If black women love you, you're doing great.
You're good. You're kind of certified.
You're 100% certified.
You're certified if black women love you, bro.
And two, it's like he has hits, I think, that the black community loves, which again is very rare. I don't think black people love Lose Yourself the way white people love Lose Yourself. But Jack is in a different spot, and to be in that spot so early into his career, and it feels very solidified. Like I don't see this changing. I see 5 years from now him even having more of the black audience than he does now.
True.
So I think we got to give him his props for that.
Yeah, and I think his crossover, I think him standing next to Drake does help.
For sure.
Right? And then his rap style being similar to Drake also does help. So he's got a lot of things that are helping the crossover, which is weird because you really think about in hip hop, you think about the opposite crossover. We're trying to figure out how do we get Lil Baby how do we get white fans to listen to Lil Baby? How do we get white fans to listen to Lil Durk? Right? How do we get white fans to listen to even DaBaby when DaBaby was a thing, right? Now it's like to watch somebody try to like
get the other side.
Get the other side is really interesting. I think that one thing about Jack Harlow is that, like Drake, he's always had women on his side when it comes to his raps. I mean, even in I think it was the first song, Common Ground. No, They Don't Love It, where he raps about like, I'd rather have, even if it's 15 girls in the front row, I'd rather have them than a bunch of dicks, So I think that it's dope that he has that. So I think he's just got like a really unique space. He's really interesting to me. I did have a little bit of a game, but I think we're running a little bit over time. But
Can we do it quickly?
Yeah. Okay. We'll do it quickly. I'm control. We can cut the certain parts for the time to wait. So I'll give it to you here. So I'm gonna read 2 lyrics.
Okay.
And I want you to tell me which one is the Drake lyric and which one is the Jack Harlow lyric. Okay.
I'm into it.
So, why am I so flawed? Why am I so skeptical of God? Why do I pretend like I didn't see it when I saw it? Why am I so bold to double back when I've been caught? Why am I not the superhero that I thought? Or is it these diamonds that I bought? When did I start texting so dry? When did I become this type of guy? When did the text you sent me stop getting replies? What if these things don't turn out how I planned them? I want to be more than just a random. What if all these people in my life go Danny Phantom? I'm sick of down to earth. I want to throw tantrums. I'm sick of these little raps. I want to make anthems. You feel me? It's either you or it's my schedule. Y'all both can't be demanding. I keep you under wraps. You told your mom it's for my branding. I hope she's understanding. What if I don't meet these expectations? What if I don't reach my destination? And what if I don't live up to the height despite all my dedication? Okay.
I think that one's Jack. But
then I got, okay. Look, fuck all the happy to be here shit y'all got me on. I'm big homie. They trying to little bro me, dog. Yeah. I should fall in line. Like, I should alert these people when I'm about to drop something crazy and not say I'm the greatest of my generation. Like, I should be dressing different. Like, I should be less aggressive and pessimistic. Like, I should be more nervous and less dismissive. Like, I should be on my best behavior and not talk my shit and do it major like these people who paved the way for us.
Well, I know. I think I know both these songs.
Yeah.
So the second one was Drake. First one is Jack.
Yeah.
But the first one definitely could have been Drake.
That could have been a Drake lyric, right?
That could have been Drake.
Straight Drake. Like when I listen to his music, I just think I'm like, Drake could have just rapped this. Like, So I think that's my only thing with Jack Harlow is like, it's so close to Drake where I'm like, if Drake just rapped this, it would have been, I would have believed it.
I don't really always think about Drake when listening to Jack as much.
I think about it all the time.
Because I think that the one thing that he is taking from Drake is the honesty in his lyrics.
Yeah.
Like that would have been so far gone Drake if that was Drake rapping the Jack lyrics.
That's my next question. I'm like, which form, like because I think they overlap so much. Yeah. I'm like, which form of Drake do you think he is right now?
He's definitely in his like so far gone, thank me later era. Because here's my thing is that I do think that how honest Drake has been in his lyrics, we've taken for granted like very, very much.
Yeah.
Like we know way too much just from his lyrics. Forget about interviews and anything like that. Like just from his lyrics, we know way too much. That is exactly the blueprint that Jack is following. And that is why I think his raps kind of sound like that. Think about that line you mentioned. He's starting off with everything is why. That's so much of a Drake thing of like just straight up asking these why questions in the song that are, kind of deep questions that he would ask himself. So I think he's in his so far gone, thank me later era. But here's the thing. I'm not mad at it.
Yeah. Me neither. I'm not mad at it either.
I really think he's headed into a great spot right now. There's probably a good time to talk about the cover.
Yeah. Wait, you don't want to talk about the production?
I thought we'd talk about production.
Did we? I think that production. Well, I guess the Jay-Z thing. Like a lot of the beats are Jay-Z.
Yeah.
I think that the ability to. Well, first of all, the vocal samples in like I feel like is in every single track.
Yeah.
But I think that it's great boom bap. Great boom bap. Jay-Z influenced boom bap. And again, it shows he's a student, bro. Like he mentions Biggie, Nas, Missy Elliott. Then we're like, okay, the production's like Jay-Z. Like I feel like he's able to pull from a ton of influences and get them to mesh really beautifully.
This era that he's really pulling from, that early 2000s, mid 2000s era, almost was skipped over in a sense in terms of people referencing it, pulling from it, because it went straight from the people, the Kendricks, the Drake, J. Cole's, the Drakes really referencing Kanye and Kanye specifically.
Yeah.
And then right after that, it was just like Future and Young Thug are the gods, and everyone just derives from them and Lil Wayne. So there really wasn't that time where people were really referencing all the goats and the tropes of this era. Like you mentioned Missy Elliott, Jay-Z, like you could go on mentioning people that he's kind of referencing or taking stuff from. So it's very refreshing because again, I don't know how old Jack was at this time to even.
He's 25, so he would have been like 20 years ago. He literally would have been.
5, yeah. He's born in 98.
Yeah, because we're talking about 2003, right? That's Jay-Z's time.
Yeah, no, he's born in 98, so he's 5 years old. So it's like, for it to be him, I think is so interesting. But I really think it's refreshing. And I said this before, I think the production on here.
Yeah.
I went back and listened to, those old albums that also had the green cover.
Right.
And his production has been consistent through so much of his career. And I think that is something that I've taken for granted with him. I think obviously now that he's a bigger artist, it's just assumed he's gonna have these big sounds.
Yeah.
It's great production, but that's something he's had consistently throughout his career, no matter the style. If it's whether it's a Nail Tech or a Common Ground,
Nail Tech, yeah.
It's always produced well. So I gotta give him a shot for that.
So which is your favorite produced song? Like your favorite beat on this thing? I think it's either Low Key, Gang Gang Gang. I think is one of the better produced. Like, that's why I think we said it's like top 5 in his catalog, because it's like he's actually rapping about real shit, and it sounds good.
Yeah.
I think Ambitions, that crash, like the drums on the crash, and like it's the shimmering, the shimmering lights. That's like Jay-Z Quint, like that is Jay-Z 1 for 1.
Ambition is giving Black Album for sure.
It's 1 for 1 Jay-Z, and a little like devil in a new dress, like Kanye West.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
I can see that. Or White Dress.
Yeah.
Or White Dress.
Yeah, so it's like that one is like that is like one of my favorites, because it's a very fun track. I feel like this is gonna play bangs in the whip. This plays so well in your car.
Yeah. And all these songs are short too. Like, for you to be straight rapping on all these short songs, very impressive. Gang Gang Gang, I think is the best produced song on here. Either that or Denver.
Really? You like Denver? You like Denver a lot, man.
Nah, Denver's really good. Denver is the mix of that soul sample era from before, but again with that kind of like watered down sound that is now that Drake used to do a lot. Like, Denver is really good. Here's my thing is that I think that
the vocal sample is doing a lot of work on this project, man. Because I feel like, again, every song seems to have like a vocal sample, but it's very well placed.
That's my thing is I don't even fault him for that at all. To me, that's a plus because a lot of these songs, other rappers or other artists would have talked over the vocal sample when they shouldn't have. Yeah. I think of When Sparks Fly by Vince Staples. That was such a genius decision to make the sample the chorus. There's no reason why any other artist wouldn't take that chorus and just rap over that sample. That's a lot of people would have done that. And so it's like we got to give him credit for the decisions that he didn't make, the things that he didn't do.
Yeah, that's true.
In terms of letting it breathe, because Denver and Gang Gang are both songs like that where it's like, it's better that this verse doesn't really have a chorus, So yeah, I give him credit for that.
Yeah, so I think production-wise, who's the this will be another part that who the fuck is producing this shit, bro? Because like this is actually
it's a lot of different guys. It's a lot of guys that he's worked with before,
right?
But Hollywood Cole is on here, Goldie Jr., Rashad Thomas. It's a mix. That's kind of why I give Jack more credit in a sense, because he's working with relatively unknown producers. These guys have big credits. I'm not gonna say any of them. A lot of these guys have big credits with other big artists. But he's not Metro Boomin. He's not Metro Boomin. Yeah. And as well, it's not the sound everyone else is doing.
True.
Like I would guess that a lot of these artists that they're not doing this sound for the other people they're working with. You know, there's some artists who they want what everyone else has. They kind of want that Future sound or that Thug sound. I'm sure that this is what Jack is saying. Yo, give me something that gives me a little Blueprint vibes. And then they're delivering.
Yeah. How happy do you think Alchemist is right now? Or Hit Boy? They're like, yo, get that kid in my studio right now.
Oh, because of the boom bap sound?
Yeah, they're just like, especially Alchemist. I think an Alchemist would definitely, after this, I think Alchemist would be a nice space for
you know
him.
what? It's too early to tell for me. I think I got to see how this is received.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, because I think it's good.
Yeah.
And I think that it should be received well.
Yeah.
But Jack is in that space where it's like, it's cool to hate on Jack.
Yeah, that's true. But it was cool to hate on Drake too, and then see what happened after that.
But I think Drake kind of dealt with what that came with. So yeah, I'm interested to see how it is received and how it ages too. Like one album you got to go back to and talk about Lil Yachty's album, how that aged. It's been a few months now since that came out, but this album gives me that similar vibe of like, okay, let's hate Jack right when it comes out. Of course, he's white. Let's hate the white people. Now, 3 months later, how do we feel about this?
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see how that goes.
How do you feel? So what does this album mean for Jack Harlow? His career, what it means going forward? Because when I'm listening to it, I think he just like, this is a stamp for him. Like, I think this is something.
Yeah, you said he catapulted a few spots.
Do you not think so? I think he.
No, I think he did too. I think I had a higher opinion of him before this.
Yeah.
So it's not as much of a like, oh my God to me.
Yeah.
But I do think he did jump a few spots because we've said this is the album everyone's asking Drake to drop. Like this is an album that no one else is really dropping in music, period. Like even Kendrick and Cole, their last albums aren't this.
Right.
You know, way more theatrical, a bunch of features, even some trap sounds in their projects.
Yep.
There's no Kodak Black on this project. So
you know what I just realized? He has no features on this shit.
yeah. Yeah. Like, so it's like this really does catapult him because this is all him, and this is why I brought it up earlier. It comes to what's popping is like a lot of times when someone is a popular rapper, especially people in the industry, people have a automatic disdain of like they're just pushing him and it's like it doesn't really work like that. If your song's not good, then there's nothing
they're
you can do
just not
about
gonna
that.
play it.
And so it's like his hits, if you look at his Spotify, are all him. Churchill Downs is the only hit he has with a feature, and that was a hit regardless. Drake obviously came in and did his thing, but I don't think that song would have not been a big song if it had just been Jack. So he's shown multiple times he has a sauce. First Class is him. What's Poppin' is him. Dua Lipa is him. Nail Tech is him. So to me, this is more of him proving like, yo, I don't need similar to Drake. When Drake said every song from Drake featuring Drake is like, this is Jack Harlow proving like another time is like, yeah, I'm a pop rapper, but this is me doing this. This is my writing, my style. And that is something that really takes him to another level because we have not seen that many rappers do that. Even someone like Travis Scott or Future, their biggest skill is almost them as a collaborator. Yeah. Like, it's like, listen, Future has great songs on his own, but people are waiting to hear the Future featuring A$AP Ferg or the Travis Scott featuring the Migos. Yeah. So Jack is putting himself in a special situation, especially because the other person who does this a lot, J. Cole, has hits, but his hits are very different from Jack hits. Yeah. And so I think that I can't think of someone who's done it in this way other than Drake in a very long time. Because J. Cole's hits are hits because he's J. Cole. Yeah. These are songs straight crossing over where it's no feature, Jack for 2.5 minutes, rock with it. Yeah, I just think for his career, I just think this I think kind of just like certified him in a way to me. Because now you really can't, because before you could have been like, oh, he's just like, it's a what's poppin', he's a singles artist, right? But now he's like, okay, now what? Like, you know, I just dropped an album where it's just rapping. Like he kind of like, there's one song where he sings, but it's not like a major feature of this music or anything like that. It's just straight bars. And the production is fantastic. Dude's rapping about shit other people are not rapping about. I guess gang is just like not crazy. Nobody else is touching that. No one else is touching that. Like nobody's like trying to make a song around that type of scenario. Maybe Kendrick Lamar, I think, is probably somebody would be the closest to doing something like that. So I'm just like, wow, you know what I mean? Like I'm just like, wow. Well, not in a bad way. Like you're impressed. Yeah, I'm just like, wow, like holy shit, this guy is like really, to me, I'm like, he's one of the best out right now, for real. Off of this and the singles, I'm like, I can't. There's nothing to take away now. Like my only takeaway is that it sounds very similar to Drake, but it's the aspect of Drake most people do not use. Yes. Right. So, and it's a combination that is not in use. Like Drake crossed with Jay-Z is not really something that people are reaching into. You know, I'm telling you right now, the internet is gonna crucify you for those words. Is that not true? Is the production not Jay-Z inspired? The production is Jay-Z inspired. The way he raps is Drake inspired. I think Ambitious is come from the Black Album. Yeah. But I think of it more inspired just from that whole era. I think of it more as a whole era than just Jay-Z inspired. But I think you're right. What he's doing is extremely impressive. Dude, this is a solo record. I didn't even realize. That's how engrossed I am by the album. I didn't even realize that it was fully solo. The last thing before we talk about the cover, I think where it goes for his career is you said this last year, which I thought was absolute poppycock, but you did say these words, that Meg was the best rapper out. Yeah. And then it went from Meg to Tyler. It's a crazy place. I don't think that's crazy. I think if you're going to say out of the pop rappers who you would consider straight pop rappers, he has to be at the top of that list. I think that, and especially because his singles are actually rap songs. I think about someone like Doja Cat, who is very talented as well.
Absolutely.
She doesn't have as many like big hit rap singles. They're more actually a straight pop single than a pop rap single. He is like someone who's actually just rapping. He's definitely at the top in terms of the pop rapper. So I think this is, and I think too, it solidifies him because Drake is really the only other person who is just straight making hits like on his own like that. Kendrick has shown in the last couple of years he can do it. Well, last few albums he can do it as well. But I think Jack to join that crowd in terms of just I got my producers I already work with. I already have the sauce. I can just make a hit. That is like I don't know how often we've seen something like that come around. To do it over and over again, because I think of someone like Lil Uzi. When Lil Uzi was coming up, very, very popular, had a bunch of kind of underground street hits, internet hits, and he did have his fair share of hits in the mainstream.
He was having like big shit like Money Longer, EXO Tour Life.
He had those, but I would say what Jack is doing is a whole different version of that. So very, very impressed. The cover is something we mentioned earlier because everyone is talking about the green
tint and the shirtless.
And I want to mention this earlier, but I think that was a very intentional decision. I'm just assuming because the last album was called Come Home, The Kids Miss You. This album is called Jackman, going from a boy to a man in a sense. This is really like Jack's an adult now. Like, I think every album going forward after this is like just this adult Jack. Not that he wasn't an adult before, but he's now an adult at the top. So this is a whole different Jack, and this is the start of this new era, because you talk about before he looked like a nerd in high school in his previous albums. That Jack would never have his shirt off on the cover of a project. It's true. He just wouldn't. And for Jack to be where he is now, where it's like, that's the cover of the project, no videos, no singles. This is just who he is now. This is adult Jack. So I like the cover a lot because the cover makes a statement just like the album does.
I think that I think the shirtless thing is also just like, it's just me type of deal, Like it's a preface for it's just him on the entire project. This is about my life. This is who I am. He's talking about, being a brother, the little brother, the big brother thing, which seems to be extremely important to him.
For sure.
Yeah, him and his brother, like that's actually like a big deal. He references being a brother so frequently. So I think that the cover is it's a little bit cheesy. I'm not gonna lie to you. I feel like it's a little cheesy.
You don't feel like he's straight out of the hood?
Exactly. Right? I'm like the grittiness of it, I think, is a little bit overrepresented, right? Because
you don't think Kentucky gets down like that?
It could, but I don't think Jack Harlow gets down like that.
I actually disagree with you. I think this is like, it's giving me Marshall Mathers in the Trailer Park. Like this is if you look at it, this is not the hood like the block. But this is definitely like, low income whiteness. I think I don't know his story. I don't know if he actually grew up in low income whiteness, but that's what it's giving, So
sure,
that could be authentic.
Yeah, but I think other than that, like it's pretty solid. It's a nice cover. I think that I didn't think I would ever in my life have shirtless Jack Harlow be part of something that I had to like see frequently. But
you didn't see that coming?
No,
I never saw that coming. What?
So
you didn't see his Rolling Stone photo shoot?
No, I have not seen it. So I think that I was not fully prepared for that, but it is now a prominent part of his music. So good for him.
Before we get to the vinyl, I want to bring up one last thing. It's how we're perceiving Jack. We talked about before. What's poppin' is basically the start of his career for a lot of people. How do you feel about just viewing artists in that lens? Because I feel like, especially from our top 50 talk, people talking about Tyler's old catalog and it's been 12 years of this. I think that is doing such a disservice to, who he is as an artist and a lot of artists. How do we go about changing that? Because I think he is so smart, and this is a move that really does help that. But not every artist is going to make that move the way he has. We haven't seen Meg do it. We haven't seen Cardi do it. We haven't seen Doja do it. There's a lot of artists who get to this Jack level, and it's just like, this is who I am now. See you, suckers. So how does an artist, kind of show people, nah, I actually been doing this, and what's the recipe for that?
I think the Jack example is like, I think that showing that the thing that made you explode, sure. Like what's poppin', again, industry baby, those are big deals.
Yes,
right?
yes.
But I think returning to what you did originally, but refining it, like, yo,
Yes.
I've been doing this and I'm gonna show you how far it's like I've been doing this, right? It wasn't the thing that got everybody here, but let me show you like the sword is sharp, bro. You know what I mean? Like I didn't come here to come play. Like I'm here to I mean business, And I think that is kind of like what I don't know, not should, but like that is like a way to reintroduce the previous self.
Yes.
Because I do think like the shirtless version of him, I feel like this is like kind of like a reset that he's trying to do.
Yes.
And I think he's trying to kind of make it like this is like the origin point for things that are going forward. But I think that his ability to make it a lot more grounded, right, is something that is going to help long term because you can at least point back. This is going to be the album that people point back to be like, no, he can actually rap.
Oh, 100%.
Right?
100%.
And that's gonna, and him being just there shirtless is like, it's like the imagery of like, this is the beginning.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, it's a Jack man, not Jack boy.
Yeah, exactly. It's Jack man, not Jack boy. So I think that I think overall the cover it's going to help long term. I think it's going to help long term. I think this entire project is going to be a long-term big deal for him because anything he does from now, you can always be like, no, he can really rap. Listen to Jackman, right?
Before we talk about the vinyl, what he actually did was kind of reset his audience into wanting a hit. People have said, oh, this last album was too TikTok-y, which I hate when people say that, but they said, oh, there was Nail Tech and all these other songs that felt a little too TikTok-y. He's now reset it where people are going to be saying we want another First Class Jack.
Yeah. Where's the hit at?
We want an industry baby. So I think that's to put yourself in that position where your fans are asking for the music people used to make fun of you for. Absolutely crazy. I want to give a big thank you to the beautiful people over at Play the Record for gifting us this beautiful vinyl. We don't have the new one. This is his last project.
Yeah.
Come Home, the Kids Miss You. Is this album a vinyl cop for you?
Absolutely. I think that seeing Jack Harlow shirtless is probably something that I don't want to see all the time, but I will grin and bear it to get the vinyl, okay? I will grin and bear it and be like, the music slaps. And I also think I'm getting it in vinyl. I am getting it in vinyl. It's also a no skips.
Yeah.
This is a no skips album. It's short and sweet. It's only 24 minutes.
Yeah.
12 songs? 10 songs.
Yeah, not even.
But I'm going to be honest with you. I think I listened to this shit maybe at least 15 times from Friday to now. Right? Like I just have it on just repeat.
Well, and that is so short. It's so good too. For me, I'm definitely copping the vinyl as well. I think that this is almost perfect for a vinyl cop for two reasons. One, you said how short it is.
Yeah.
24 minutes, like 24-minute album on vinyl.
Yeah, it's just come and gone like the wind.
Yeah, 24, like that's can't beat that. I have albums on vinyl right now that are an hour plus.
Yeah.
So it's like 24 minutes. Definitely sign me up. And then the sound. I think the production on this really fits for playing on vinyl. So it's definitely a cop for me. Jack Harlow with a no skips in
vinyl cop, like this is a new era, bro. This is 2020 for real. See, we're in we're in the 2020s for real.
It's really the end of the world.
Yeah, life is changing up, man.
Yeah, I think this is just a sign. I think how we have to give artists more leeway.
Yes.
I think we hold on to the perception of an artist so much more than their actual music, and I think that's something that we really have. Like this year, we've seen like Ice Spice. We're calling her maybe a one-hit wonder.
I was on the Ice Spice record show. I was on the Ice Spice train. I told you she wasn't.
You were skeptical.
I was skeptical, but I was optimistic, and I'm winning. I'm winning right now.
We'll give you optimism points.
She was at the Met Gala. Was she not at the Met Gala?
For sure. But
okay, thank you.
That has nothing to do with your music, though. I'm not going to put you Met Gala for good music.
Oh, my God.
Lil Yachty, someone who basically changed up his whole sound with this new project. So we got to give these artists a little more leeway because, of course, anything can happen. They're talented. They're where they are for a reason. This is the most important part of the review, of course.
Yeah.
Your score.
My score. I'm just going to give the summary real quick. I think he is doing a very rare combination of the Drake rap style that I think not enough or people don't really borrow from.
Yeah.
And a combination with 2000 / Jay-Z's production. I think that's unique in its combination. Obviously, the individual parts are very represented, right? I think what he raps about, gang, is awesome. Denver, the idea that he was rapping about like doubt that he could even be successful, or burnout as well, which I directly related to. Thank you very much. Thanks, Jack Harlow, for that one. And even ambition, right, where he's rapping about his come up and questions whether or not, or not even question. Well, questions is a good one too, but I think it can't be, where he's he's not afraid to tackle things that people are talking about or talking about him, or things that are actually happening, but most rappers are not going to approach. Most rappers are not going to do a gang.
No.
Not going to do that.
No.
They're just not. Okay? And then it can't be where he raps about the whiteness, but it's not in a way where I didn't feel like he was trying to come standoffish or anything. Like he kind of was almost like poking fun at people. Like it's like, oh, I've been studying for, I study for three hours a day, trying to study every single rapper that ever exists. And, I'm trying to do this, trying to do that. So that's all awesome. Then the production style is great. It's a nice throwback.
Yeah. Again,
didn't think he had that in his bag, but it sounds fantastic. His ability to meld with the samples, the vocal samples, and make it sometimes be the hook, or sometimes it just chills in the background. I think my only flaw is that it resembles Drake so clearly to me that I'm like, okay, we need to like step out of the shadow a little bit. But he does that with gang, and stuff like that. So I think this is a very strong. This is an 8.5, bordering a 9 for me. Okay, this is good, and I know it's almost like it feels like sacrilege.
It feels pretty crazy.
It feels a little crazy, but I would say Eminem has 9s out of 10s, 10 out of 10s. Like, it's possible to be a white rapper and be good at hip hop. Like, it's possible to do that. Jack Harlow is doing that currently, I would think.
Yeah.
I want to give it a 9. Legitimately, I'm saying it's a 9. I think
Final answer?
Yeah, I think it's a 9. I think it has so very few flaws that it's kind of undeniable. Like, I don't know what
Is this your best rap album of the year so far?
Right now it is, yeah. Right now it's the best rap album, right? It's the best rap album this year. I
2023.
know that's
2023. Did you ever think that Démar would say that Jack Harlow is the best rap album of the year so far? And
I know it's sacrilege.
This is May 2nd. We're
pretty deep, but it's been a weak year for rap, and maybe we'll talk about it on the sound bites. But it's not. But I don't think that this is weak though. Like
no. This is not weak.
This is not. This is very. It's extremely strong. This is like being MVP where everybody's injured.
Yes.
But you're like, I was dropping 40 a game. Like I was gonna be MVP anyways.
100%.
So
100%.
I think it's really good. Where are the flaws? I don't see the flaws. I don't see any flaws.
Yeah.
I don't see where are the flaws in the album.
No, I don't have any for you. For me, Jack Harlow's Jackman, it's an 8 for me.
Right. Okay.
This I don't see that much flaws in this album for sure. I think the only flaw I would say is that if it could be longer, we love
it could just be more.
Yeah, we love the 24 minutes, but if this could have been even more of what already is good on here, that would have been good. But I think this album has, it's just crazy to say because I'm giving it an 8. This album has a very high chance of being more highly rated by me 3 months from now.
Absolutely.
So when this
is making the top 10 of the year easily.
Yeah, I think this has a good chance of making the top 10 of the year. Here's my thing is that I think this project is one of the smartest projects from a pop rapper in a very, very, very long time. I think all the stuff that he talks about on this project in reference to himself, him and his brother, him and his friends who are absolutely disgusting, all of that on a project from a pop rapper
is crazy, bro.
Is absolutely crazy.
And talking about generational trauma, like, eat that, bro.
And my thing is that I think that Jack is not going to be kind of dictated by his perception. I think that that's something that I see a lot from a lot of pop artists that I kind of give them some leeway on, because I'm like, I understand it's hard not to be. You know, someone like Post Malone, who we're going to talk about in Sound Bites, like he definitely had a time where his perception was almost pulling the strings in terms of the direction of his career. Jack, with this project, Jackman, said absolutely not. Y'all are not going to tell me what to do. We're doing this our own way. So for me, this is an 8. Is one of the best albums of the year to me of any genre.
Absolutely.
And I think this is like, this to me will be the test case on how I feel about someone's opinion when it comes to music. I think that it's very quick people are very quick to hate Jack Harlow, and it's very quick to be like, oh, I don't rock with him. He's not that good. Yeah. And I think that there's so much value here artistically in what he's doing that I want to know who can see past the he's white and he makes, you know, popular music. Who can see past that to see what's actually being done here? Because there's a lot of good things on this album.
Yeah, this is the only thing it's missing, because it even has the replayability. Again, I've listened to it like maybe 3 times in a row before. Yeah. And not gotten tired of it. I think its only flaw, and it's not even a true flaw, is that it doesn't have a hit song on it. Yeah. Right? If it had a hit song on it, I'm telling you guys, I would be talking about something insanity right now, okay? If this had a hit song, I'd be going crazy.
And here, last thing I'll say is I think that's not even a true flaw, like you said, because as an album as a whole, it's not missing anything. Yeah. You know, like, I think a hit song would help it be received better, maybe perform better. But we're talking about an album as a whole. We sometimes give albums a higher rating for having these huge singles that we love. Yeah. But the album as a whole doesn't fit. Yeah. If you to choose one of like, do I want these huge singles or I want the album to sound good as a whole? He's definitely chosen this side and has done a good job. So anything else before we stop gushing over Jack, because right now the pod is twice as long as the album.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I think sometimes the simplest art can be complex in the way that you analyze it. Yeah. And I think just because it's short doesn't mean that there's not important or interesting or really. Just like, I'm genuinely stunned by myself how much I like this project.
Yeah, and I think I saw some of your tweets. I was dying.
Yeah, and I just think that again, for him going forwards, this is a bullet in his catalog, man. There's nothing you can ever really take away from him, because now it's just like, he doesn't make pop tracks. Be like, just listen to Jackman, bro. Yeah, just listen to Jack. If you want him to really, really rap, just listen to Jackman.
Yeah, I would love to hear some of other people's favorite artists make a gang. Yeah. And then we'll have a different conversation. But for now, Jack is in the place basically all by himself.
Yeah, he's in a nice spot right now.
For all my Jack Harlow fans and my Jack Harlow haters who've made it to the end of the podcast, you guys know what to do. Leave us a rating and a review, 5 stars, not a single star less. Make sure you follow us on all the platforms on the interwebs. Album Mode Pod on Twitter, Album Mode Pod on TikTok, Album Mode Pod on Instagram, and of course, Album Mode Pod on YouTube.
And also, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the Album Mode Pod on YouTube. Yes. We are here. I know you're here because you saw the top 50 TikTok, because that shit is popping hot right now. That shit is hot as fire right now. So thank you for joining us. We're going to be doing this every week. We're going to be doing crazy shit, fun shit, albums. We're doing the sound bites. We're talking about things that are just happening in the culture as well. It's going to be fun. Okay, it's going to be awesome. So thank you for joining us.
And please let us know if you disagree. The lovers, should it have been a 10? Should Jackman have been a 5? Please let us know in the comments. Of course, Album Mode Pod everywhere on the internet. And until next time, know yourself, know your worth.
Later days.